1v1 chess matches are one of the toughest chess formats because you play the same person over and over again. And if things go well, it's fantastic, but if things go badly, the last person you want to play against is your opponent. The thrill of this was the reason I wanted to rematch one of my toughest opponents, Odin Via, the Norwegian Viking, as I lost to him in a match in Oslo in 2024. This time around, I had prepared a lot. We were going to play 6 classical games and have $10,000 on the line thanks to the sponsor of the match, Neurogum, who are the makers of the smartest gum in the world. I'll have a link to them in the description. But anyways, Odin is the king of perseverance. You see, he used to have the Guinness World Record for playing chess for the longest time, over 61 hours straight. I knew this would be a tough match, but I was going to give it my everything. This was the first round of the Odin versus Anna match, which took place in Svarta Hästen, Stockholm, our chess bar. Oh, and by the way, all the games were rated, and so another one of my big goals was to get 2100 rating. My rating before these games was 2083 and Odin's 2120. The game we were about to play was going to be completely crazy, and I was going to make one of the most beautiful chess moves that I've ever made in any tournament, I think. Odin is a very aggressive player. He loves tactics, he loves pushing forward, and I was going to try to use that to my advantage. I was hoping that he would, in certain positions, try a little bit too much and maybe create his own weaknesses. So I had the white pieces in the first game and I played d4. He went knight f6, I went c4. He went d6. This move for me was a bit of a surprise, because he typically, from what I've seen, has played differently with ideas such as going e6 and c5, but he went d6 and I brought out my knight to prevent him from pushing his e-pawn 2 steps. He went g6 and I got my other knight out, and I now thought that this could become a King's Indian defense, but instead he played this move bishop f5, which I didn't know what to do against. So here I spent some time thinking. It made sense for me to play something like queen b3. I know that whenever the bishop gets out, it feels like queen b3 is the move, but I decided instead to go h3 because this was a little bit more similar to what I play against the King's Indian.
Everybody, this is me in the confessional booth. This was some weird stuff. I thought he was gonna play the Benoni or something else, but Odin has completely surprised me. I think he's prepared something like this bishop f5. I've never really played against this. I feel like he's trying to get out of my regular King's Indian, but this is definitely something he's prepared. I don't think he's ever played this before. I've never seen him play this, so yeah, I'm definitely surprised, but I'm actually pretty happy. Like, I think I feel good about this position. So, okay, I just wanted to say hi. Hello everybody, I'm very excited about this match. This is gonna be epic. Okay, I'm gonna go back now. I'm nervous, I'm really nervous, but I'm very excited. Okay, I'll be back later. Bye.
He went knight e4 because if he now brings out his knight, for instance, I can go g4 and almost trap his bishop. I mean, his bishop doesn't have a lot of squares to go to. So he went knight e4, I traded knights, and then I went knight g5, forcing him to retreat with his bishop. After he went bishop f5, I had to make a choice. Should I go e4 or should I go g4? What pawn should I use to attack that bishop? And I decided to go for g4. He moved back his bishop. I developed my bishop. I was threatening now his pawn. He went c6 and I went queen b3, threatening the pawn even further. I think this queen b3 move was maybe not as good as I thought it was, but this is the kind of move that is just so natural against bishop f5 that I kept having it in my brain. But so far, nothing crazy has happened in this game. He went queen b6 and I didn't want to trade queens. So after spending a lot of time thinking, I decided to go queen c3 because I had some really cool ideas and I was actually able to see what was going to happen for several moves forward now. And even though objectively this was not the best, I kind of liked the position that I was going to end up with. So I went queen c3, with the idea being that after bishop g7, which is the move that makes the most sense, I can go bishop e3, and now I've opened up my king for long castles. And this was a very important move. I'm now defending this d4 pawn at the same time as I'm getting my king out of the way and I'm defending this b2 pawn. So I now felt like I'd completed all my development and I was very happy about this. And I was also now threatening to take on c5 and take the bishop. However, I had missed that he has this fantastic move, queen a6. And now I was going to spend a lot of time thinking. And with this time control of 60 minutes plus 30 seconds, which is one of the shortest time controls for classical chess, I didn't have all the time in the world to think, because at any point this was going to become like a rapid game. So I went queen b3, and this was a really scary move for me to make because I was allowing him to go bishop a4 and pin my queen, and my rook is there as well. However, this I calculated would have been a mistake because if queen takes b7, and now this becomes a whole mess. But basically, after something like rook takes d1, bishop takes d1, I can just take back, and there's no way for him to defend his rook. So this would have been very good for me. But this took me a while to figure out, so I thought that this was really scary. He went knight c6, which was a very good move after a lot of time of thinking as well, because this was a very tactical position, and things were about to get crazy now. So I took his pawn on c5. I thought, am I winning a pawn? However, I knew that he had a queen and a bishop pointing towards my king. So he went knight a5, threatening my queen. And now I had to move my queen somewhere. And I was thinking, should I go queen b4 or should I go queen a3? So I decided ultimately to go queen a3. And he castled here, which I thought looked very natural, but this is now becoming a very crazy position. After queen a3, he can go queen takes c4, and after he's threatening my king, of course, it's check. I need to move my king. But this I didn't think was, incredibly good for him either, because here I thought that maybe I can take on d6. However, maybe there's knight c4. So there were all kinds of things in this position. But anyways, he castled, which also made sense to get his king into safety. I decided that if I can take a pawn, I will take a pawn. And so I went c takes d6. I grabbed that pawn on d6, but I was terrified for my king. I thought at any point my king is going to maybe succumb, And now he did a move that I didn't see coming, that my mother didn't see coming. Nobody saw coming at this point, which was bishop takes b2. I was completely shocked when he did this move, but this is what I had talked about. Odin is an aggressive player that loves tactical things. And even though this engine-wise is not so good, practically this was a really scary move for him to make, because I didn't have much time left and he was going to open up my whole king and bring all his pieces to the attack, and that was terrifying. So the only thing I could do here is to take with the queen, because if I take with the king, there's going to be a check and a fork. So I had to take with the queen, and now he took on c4, and now my best move was apparently to go bishop takes b7. And this was a move that I didn't necessarily want to do because it seemed quite scary to open up this whole b file in front of my king. But anyway, so I went instead queen b3, which was the second best move, and now he took my bishop on e3, and I thought that I could not take back here with the pawn because I thought he then had bishop a4 to what once again I can go bishop takes b7 and then rook d5. But as you can see, all of this is not so easy, and these are the only moves for me to really have an advantage. So his move bishop takes b2 in a way was a genius move because it was not easy at all to defend against this. So when he took my bishop here on e3, I realized that I couldn't take with the queen because then there was going to be queen takes a2 and my king would be a disaster. So I decided to instead do an intermediate move, pawn takes e7. Now here, I wasn't sure what was going to happen if he took my rook and then I take his rook, and well, then we just enter something like this. I had no idea how this actually was. I realize now after looking with the engine that it's not so great because after my king moves, he has this check winning my knight maybe. Although if he takes there, I can take on d7 and I'm still a piece up, but my king is very unsafe. So this was a very difficult position to evaluate. So instead of doing this though, he went rook c8 check, which is a move that makes sense because he's right now defending his rook. My king moved, and now he did this move that I was kind of expecting, bishop e6, because he wants to stop me from taking on f7. And after bishop e6, I took on e6. If he takes back, then I will just simply take his knight and there's nothing. So he took my rook, and I now made what I think is one of the nicest moves I've ever made in a tournament, or at least in a very long time. With only a few minutes on the clock, I play the move knight d8, which I was really proud of. The idea of this move is that instead of taking back his knight, I am defending my knight, and I'm both threatening pretty much a checkmate or a very strong attack, and to promote to a queen. Knight d8 was a beautiful move, and I'll insert here the reaction of my mom when I play that move.
She played knight d8. Wow, she played this beautiful move. Wow. Sometimes when you go forward, it's easier than when you go backward. And so she's threatening on f7, but she's also threatening to take on queen on e8.
He didn't have anything else to do than to take it. And now I was going to enter this endgame being a piece up, which I thought was going to be very easy for me to win. But with Odin, nothing is ever easy. So he checked me, he was able to win a pawn, and even though this should be very easily winning, all these checks were extremely terrifying for me to play against. He kept checking me, and I couldn't really find a good way forward, it felt like. I was trying to go everywhere. I went check, I went check. I was trying to find so many different places to go to, but I also wanted to ensure that I didn't lose all my pawns, because if I lost a lot of my pawns, then I maybe would give him some counter chances. So as you can see here, I did a million different checks with the queen until I finally went bishop g8 to threaten to take on h7. And he kept checking me, which was really terrifying. And I didn't know exactly where to go with my king. And now after I went queen c2 and I allowed him to take on h3, it's not as simple anymore. So I went bishop e6 here, but now he went queen e3, which was a mistake because he allowed me to trade queens. But as you can see, he only had a few seconds left on the clock. This should still in this position be very good for me because I'm threatening to go check and then win his a pawn, but he definitely had some counter chances. And now after queen e3, I was able to trade queens, and it now becomes a lot easier for me. So he went h6, and he was still trying to find some tricks. And now after I attacked his pawn, I thought that he has to push it forward, but instead he did this other move, f5, and this is a little bit of a trick. Well, the point is that after bishop takes pawn, he wanted to go f4, and now he wanted to do this move, king f4, where basically the point is that if I go bishop f5, this actually becomes a draw after h5, which is really crazy. Because if I would move my bishop here now, after h takes g4, this is just not such a great position for me. These pawns are much stronger than my bishop, and this I will not win. So, like I said, Odin did tricks all the way till the end, but I found this move, king f2, which is very nice because the point is that after king takes g4, I can just go bishop e4, and I will now win this pawn. There's nothing he can do, and I will sacrifice my bishop at some point for this pawn, perhaps, or, well, I don't have to. I can just stay with this bishop on this diagonal, put it on h1, and then win the other pawn. But if I want to, if my king gets close enough and I'm able to win that pawn and start pushing, I can always sacrifice this bishop for that pawn. So in this position, on move number 60, after king f2, Odin resigned, and I won the first game in this very exciting 6-game match. This was huge for me because I was going to win quite a bit of rating from this game. I was almost going to get to 2100, or maybe already get to 2100. But the match was not over, and I knew that anything could happen in this match. So I'll be showing you the other games as well. I hope you enjoyed this first recap of game 1 in the Anna versus Odin match. And let me know what you thought about the game, and let me know what you thought about the move knight d8, because that's one of my favorite moves. Have a wonderful, beautiful day, and thank you so much for watching. Subscribe!